How many teams can truly compete for an ACC championship in 2025? Here's some that have high boom or bust potential.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Shout out to the everydayers, and thank you so much for making Locked On ACC your first listen and your first watch. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. He is Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack. I'm Alex Donno from Locked On Canes. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time, the only ticket app that we use. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. On this loaded episode of Locked On ACC, we'll talk about an SEC coach complaining about NIL. The timing is interesting. But let's talk about the ACC championship picture, Kenton, as we head into a 2025 season where we know the Clemson Tigers are favored. Like, how many teams would you consider, in addition to Clemson, to be, like, legitimate? I can see these teams as contenders. How many others and which ones?
Outside of obviously Clemson, I think you got a few teams that you can look at there. Obviously, your team, Donno, you're bringing back an offensive line that's very deep, very experienced, all that good stuff. Your run game is going to be there. The only question that you have is about the back end of the defense more than anything else, because we all know Hurricane Bane's going to be healthier and better than he was last year. You look at SMU as a team that could potentially repeat and say, we're back. We are a team that can reload and we don't have to rebuild. Louisville is a team that I think, again, you talk about what travels, run game travels. They can go anywhere with that run game and they'll be in the ball game. And I'm going to tell you, addition by subtraction, Tyler Shuck being off that team helps him out. I'm sorry to say it. I know people don't want to hear it, but it really and truly does. So I think those teams are the top end. Like, hey, they definitely have the potential. Georgia Tech, if everything falls right, is another one that I look at and I say, hey, you could end up there. You could end up in that big game there. And I think that those are the only teams that I would say, like, I wouldn't be shocked to see them in the ACC championship. If I was to see a Virginia Tech there, I'd be shocked. I'm not going to lie to you. If I was to see an NC State and UNC there, I'd be shocked. If I was to see the Boston College Eagles there, I would want somebody to wake me up because I'd have to be dead. I would have to be in the lowest circle of hell in order for that to happen. But in all seriousness, I think that those are the teams that realistically have a shot at it.
Yeah, and the odds back up what you're saying. Clemson have a 9.5 win total over under, according to FanDuel, which leads the ACC. But then some of the other teams you mentioned, Miami, Louisville, and SMU are all at 8.5, which are the next highest. And I believe Georgia Tech, I'll double check this, but I believe Georgia Tech is 7.5. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think Georgia Tech can be, 7.5 for them. I think that they can be a dark horse because they have a lot of the ingredients, including the quarterback, who I can't believe still has eligibility left. Haynes King is he Cam McCormick 2.0? Is he 6th, 7th year guy at this point? But that experience could take them a long way. And on the flip side of that, you mentioned a couple. Like, who would you say are the teams where, like, hell would have to freeze over before they win an ACC championship? You mentioned a few. I'll throw in Stanford as another one. I'll throw Cal in there as well. But Stanford even more so. 3.5 wins over under. They've got an interim coach who knows he's not going to be there for more than a year. It's a mess.
If Stanford ends up in the ACC championship game, you have my word right now. I will personally buy an Andrew Luck jersey and tweet out at least once a day, every day leading up to the ACC championship the week before, a new great fact about Andrew Luck. And the last day will be Andrew Luck is my biological father. I will not hear any arguments about this. I will do that every single day, followed by that the Friday or the game day, actually, of the ACC championship, because there's no way that happens. They don't have the talent. They don't have the coaching. They don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the excitement. There is literally nothing that they have. But I'm going to tell you another team that is in a similar category, and they're not going to want to hear this. They're not going to want to believe me. But I'm sorry. I'm not doing Groundhog's Day no more. I feel like Bill Murray waking up every year saying, "Oh, Kyron Drone's going to do it this year. Oh,
Yeah.
Kyron will be good this year." The Virginia Tech Hokies would need an act of God to get to the ACC championship. They're not doing it. It's not happening.
Yeah, both Virginia teams, UVA and Virginia Tech, are 6.5 over-unders. I feel like at least one of them is going to go under the 6.5. Maybe
Absolutely.
UVA. I'm not sure which one. I don't think they're both going to win more than 6 games this year to hit that over 6.5. I want to get to, and I was actually inspired. I want to give credit where credit is due, because I go deep when it comes to my ACC research, and I was on fightinggobbler.com, which, as you can imagine, is a website that covers Virginia Tech. And they brought up an interesting scenario here on teams that can potentially win the ACC if everything goes right for them, right? Not talking about the favorites, not talking about your Clemsons and your Miamis, but teams that are in that meaty part of the bell curve where if a couple of player acquisitions work out for them, maybe a couple of referee calls go their way, a couple close games, that they can actually contend. Where do the Florida State Seminoles fall on that list? You want to keep it locked right here. We're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On ACC. These days, the days are literally getting longer. The weather's warming up and people are spending more time outside, which means it's the perfect time to refresh your outdoor space. Whether you're working with a big backyard or a small balcony, WayFair has everything you need to make it feel more like you. WayFair's massive selection of outdoor essentials makes it easy to transform any space into your ideal summer setup. From comfy conversation sets to sleek dining tables and outdoor decor, they've got it all, and at prices that fit your budget. Grab a new patio dining set and some string lights from WayFair to help extend your outdoor space. The delivery is free and hassle-free, even for the big stuff. Whether you're entertaining guests or just relaxing solo, shop WayFair to help you unwind. Shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online. This summer, get outside with WayFair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAR.com. WayFair, every style, every home. Thank you for making Locked On ACC your first listen and your first watch. For your next listen, check out our other shows. Kenton Gibbs and Grayson Boone do an awesome job hosting Locked On Wolfpack, covering everything. North Carolina State, I cover everything Miami on Locked On Canes. So, all right, tell me, Kenton, if you agree, we can do a few of these at a time. The Fighting Gobbler considers these 6 to be teams that they have a chance of winning the conference, but everything has to go right for them. And I would say there's a lot of volatility with these teams. There is boom or bust potential. The first one that they list are the Florida State Seminoles. They say, does anyone really think the Seminoles are going to finish at the bottom of the standings again? Highly unlikely, and it would be shocking if FSU did not even become bowl eligible. Boston College transfer quarterback Thomas Castellanos has been brought in to lead the offense. It'll be interesting to see how he fits in there. A strong start to the season is a must for Florida State to get the brutal taste of 2024 out of their system. And listen, Kenton, I agree, they're not going 2-10 again. And their over-under is, considering how bad they were last year, it's probably, you would say, shockingly high at over-under 7.5, which has them in the 3rd highest group in the conference.
I don't think that people think through things like this seriously. That Florida State team could quadruple their win total from last year and still not be close to making the ACC championship game. No. Norvell has shown us when it comes to him and his teams, it is a process. It is a build. Things need to take time and go right. And that's not a knock against Norvell, because no coach has instantly turned teams around like crazy without massive help through the portal. And by massive help, I mean mainly guys from his old school. Shout out to old Coach Sig up there at Indiana. Everywhere else, you need to have a process, especially if you've been there for some time. This team will be better. Yes, they're not going to go 2-10 again. No, that's not happening. But they're not going to be ACC championship contenders. That's just not happening.
Now, one of the other teams that they listed, and you already made your case on this one, is Virginia Tech. So that's a no from you, and it's a no from me as well. They're not gonna win the ACC championship. They throw Boston College in there, which is interesting. That's a no from me. That's a hard no. But what about? I'll give you a few more. Duke, Pittsburgh and North Carolina State, your alma mater. Do you give any of them a legit shot?
Duke is the actual wild card that I would say has a legit shot.
Yeah.
That's the one team that I would say I omitted from if everything breaks right for them, they could end up there. They should have been in that category for me. So I apologize to the Blue Devil Nation for that. All 10 of their football fans, congratulations. I'm sorry. But seriously, they are a team that could end up there if things break right for them. With all sincerity, though, their fans do need to show up at a higher clip. I remember going to see their game against Clemson a couple years ago, season opening game here, and it was like that stadium was still half empty, and it's like, dude, y'all are a good team. Y'all are a really good team. What is happening? Then when they played Notre Dame later that season, a few weeks after they had just knocked off Clemson and were undefeated, the stadium still was half empty, and it's just like, what are you doing, man? You've got to be better in terms of fan support. But Duke has the talent. They have the coaching. I think Diaz, the second time around, he's probably ready. I think he gets it done. I think it's possible that they get it done.
Yeah. Well, let me add this. I think Duke's over-under is 6.5 wins. I think they're undervalued. And they overachieved a little bit at 9 wins last year. I think they benefited from a really good start and a relatively easy schedule, but their schedule doesn't look that tough this year either, Kenton. And I think they made a great move at quarterback with Darian Mensah. So let me go through their schedule real quick. They open up the season against Elon. That should be a win, right? Yep. They play Illinois. I wouldn't be shocked if they can beat Illinois, and that's a home game. Actually, no, it's in it is a home game for them. That one's in Durham. They play Tulane on the road, which is that's the Darian Mensah Bowl, because they just stole Tulane's quarterback. Then they go play Tulane on the road. I don't. What do you make of Tulane this year? Because Tulane is always good, but then they always lose all of their good players every year into the transfer portal. But then they seem to reload pretty well. I don't know. I'm going to say Duke can beat Tulane.
Hey, listen. If my team was going to fire their head coach sometime soon, I would be in the athletic director's office. Go get Summerall. You understand? Don't you call nobody else. You pick up that phone. You say, "Hey, I'm coming down New Orleans. I ain't leaving, until I get 3 beignets and a head coach." But in all seriousness, I think Tulane is going to be a good team this year because, like you said, they're always good despite having massive roster turnover. The problem is this. I think Duke has the potential to be really good. They got Mensah early. He got the spring ball reps with his guys. You see a situation where, again, that defense, they are who they are. They are always going to be swarming and disguising. I think that they still get that win against Tulane. I think it's a tough game. It's 50-50. It could go either way, but I think Duke has enough to pull it off.
Yeah, let me go through. So you get into the conference schedule after that. They play NC State at home. They play Syracuse on the road. Talk about an enigma. The people don't think Syracuse is going to be very good. That's why their over-under is 5.5 wins. But I thought they did pretty good job going out and getting a quarterback, and maybe they won't be as bad. But then the thing about Syracuse is they have that super hard schedule. So I think that's why they're at 5.5 is they play the hardest schedule in the conference. But that could be a toss-up or a win for Duke. They play at Cal. Home against Georgia Tech, which will be tough. At Clemson will be tough. They could go 0-2 in that stretch easily. They play at UConn, could be a win. Home against Virginia, could or should be a win. At Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and then home against Wake Forest. So I could see 7 or 8 wins there for Duke.
You gave me 2 wins you gave me rather 2 games that I'm like, I don't see a world where Duke wins that one. I don't see a world where they win it. All the rest, I'm like, hey, now,
Clemson and Georgia Tech, right? But all the rest, they can win.
And only because Clemson and Georgia Tech are stacked back to back. And honestly, depending on how Georgia Tech looks, it might be a situation where it's like, is there not a world where they win that game? But, I could absolutely see, Duke having a special year this year. I think they're primed and ready for it. Maybe you say it could come in Mensah's year 2, but who knows? I mean, like I said, he got spring ball reps, so they could do it.
Now, the Fighting Gobbler also considered your NC State Wolfpack as a team that could contend for the ACC if things go their way. I mean, I see the face you're making. Show some faith in your alma mater, Kenton. Why are they wrong?
Here's the thing. I don't think they're necessarily wrong. I just think everything would have to break right. I think that they would have to go on a run like what Wake Forest did when Sam Hartman was there and they got there and played Pitt. It would have to be something like that to where like your offense lights it up, your defense is just opportunistic enough, and you get some help from teams that are supposed to be good. Like all of those things are going to have to work together because NC State's offense, I have no worries about it. Weapons galore. Yeah. One of the best rising quarterbacks in the nation. One of the best, I would say the by far most underrated tight end in the nation. You've got a wide receiving core that is deep and talented and hungry, so much so that they're pushing out elder statesmen because they know they're not going to get the amount of reps they want. Everything's there offensively. Defensively, who's going to get to the quarterback? Where's your pass rush coming from? Defensively, secondary wise, you had a mass exodus at 11:59 p.m. basically in terms of right before the portal closed during the winter. All of a sudden, every DB that played last year was gone. So,
By the way,
and of course, we love some Hollywood Smothers. I'm gonna tell you something. Hollywood Smothers and Duke Scott in the backfield are part of that weapons galore. And Hollywood don't play.
Yeah, for those listening to the audio version, this is an ex-post by NC State running back Hollywood Smothers, who he literally has, you got to love this, he's got a picture of Bill Belichick holding up the UNC t-shirt. He uses as a dartboard. Tons of holes in it. There's 2 darts. One of the darts is right in Bill Belichick's nose. So Hollywood Smothers, he is ramping up that rivalry between UNC and NC State. You'll love to see that. Oh, absolutely. Man. Speaking of rivalries, go ahead.
Before we go, I know a lot of people like to say, oh, you got to prove yourself. You got to show something before you do something like that. Well, Hollywood Smothers had 16 touches for 117 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Dirty Foot Club last year in a win. So I think that he might have earned the right, maybe possibly, to talk his talk.
Coming up next, the timing on this is interesting. So a day after Kirby Smart saw his number 1 recruiting target actually choose to go to Miami. He chose the ACC over the SEC, or as Georgia fans would say, he chose the bag over the culture. Kirby Smart is ranting about NIL. Why? Keep it locked right here. We're not done yet on Locked On ACC. Folks, I already know you're keeping it locked to Game Time. I got my AC/DC t-shirt on. I'm going tonight in Tampa to see AC/DC live with tickets that I purchased on the Game Time app. I got the best prices, the best seats, panoramic views from my seats in the app before I bought. It's always a great experience on the Game Time app, guys. And of course, there's nothing like the NBA playoffs, the intensity, the buzzer beaters, the fans losing their minds. It's the kind of atmosphere you must experience live. And this year's matchups are already delivering. If you want in, Game Time makes it fast and easy to get seats, even for the biggest playoff games. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to tip-off. And with killer last-minute deals, panoramic seat views, and no surprise fees, Game Time is a total game changer. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Just download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you for making Locked On ACC your first listen. For your next listen, check out The Portal. Ryan Smith, he talks about all the things that Kirby Smart hates. NIL, transfer portal, recruiting. I mean, Kirby Smart loves to recruit, but he doesn't love recruiting with NIL, apparently. That's available, The Portal, free, wherever you get your podcast, free on YouTube. So I'm not going to dismiss everything that Kirby said. Kirby Smart, Georgia head coach, he was on the Paul Feinbaum show on Wednesday, and it was one day after the shocker that offensive line 5-star top recruit Jackson Cantwell chose to go to Miami over Georgia. There's been a lot of speculation about the size of the NIL package and all that stuff. And it's interesting, Kenton, these comments coming from the highest paid coach in college football, who is the highest paid state. He's the highest paid state employee in Georgia. He's making $13.28 million. Kirby Smart said on the Feinbaum show, I just want to be able to have a freshman come in and not make more than a senior. And I'd like for other sports to be able to survive. You know, you're on the brink of probably 1 to 2 years away from a lot of schools cutting sports. Now, I mean, if Kirby is so worried about non-revenue sports getting cut, maybe he should donate some of that $13.28 million to the women's tennis program to keep everything afloat there. And listen, I know Kirby is frustrated with the way the landscape has evolved. I feel like, Kenton, the frustration that you hear from programs, especially like Alabama and Georgia, who haven't embraced NIL the same way, even though they could, because believe me, with those programs, there's plenty of money. There are motivated boosters, a lot of deep pockets, but still Alabama and Georgia tend to complain about NIL. And I think what drives them crazy, KG, is that, you know, before NIL became a thing, they had such a recruiting advantage, being able to promote the SEC, their program prestige, their rings, and they had such an advantage over everyone else. But now, God forbid, there's a possibility that other schools who maybe don't have quite your prestige are able to level the playing field by offering some extra money. It drives them insane.
Again, I want to know if Kirby Smart has this big of a problem, and I don't want freshmen making more than seniors, and all this and all that. I don't want any of that. Sure, Kirby, sure. Let's go there, right? You are making more than every other state employee in the state of Georgia, and I believe every other state employee in the country. There's not a single state employee in any state making as much as you. Our top doctors for the state and lawyers for the state not worth what you're worth? What happened though? Why are you making more? Oh, you don't want to see the other programs get eliminated. Like you said, Donno, take that pay cut. Nobody's forcing you. As a matter of fact, I got an idea. Since Georgia wants to, do away with NIL and all that, y'all go first. Y'all start. Tell all your players, listen, we love you. We appreciate you. We appreciate your efforts. We'll give you revenue sharing, but as far as NIL goes, we're going to use every dime and dollar we get to support our lacrosse efforts, to support our field hockey efforts, to support our men's and women's track teams, to support our volleyball teams. That's where our money is going because we want everybody to have a fair shot. So everybody, if you're playing for the G on the side of your helmet, stay in this room. But everybody who's playing for a check, go and scram, get from around here. Let's see what your team looks like then. At the end of the day, people are getting paid money because they have earned it. They have earned it. You could argue, Cantwell ain't earned a thing. He ain't played a lick of college football. If somebody's willing to pay you that, I have very interesting news for you. In America, guess what? You've earned it. You've earned it. There are many other sectors in life where people would say, one person would say, I would never pay that for that service. And somebody else will gladly stand there with their wallet out, money and pocketbook. Hey, I got you. So again, I think that all of this, it's always so interesting to me how, again, whenever a recruit doesn't pick my school, he went with the bag. He went with the bag. Oh, he's just a bag chaser. She's just a bag chaser. They're just bag chasers. But when they come to your school, they came for the regality of who we are. They came for the pomp and circumstance of our university and what we have to offer. They came for the lively environments of game day. But if they went elsewhere, they're evil bag chasers who will always be doomed by the highest bidder. Stop it. Knock it off.
It's what drives me crazy is the hypocrisy because they try to, and it's one thing when fans do it, but especially when coaches do it, especially the highest paid coach, when you criticize players for negotiating the best possible deal, okay, is it a coincidence that Kirby Smart is the highest paid college football coach? You don't think he and his agent were like, hey, like when he was coming off of 2 national championships, you don't think his agent was like, hey, we should go to Georgia and say, hey, we're winningest coach right now, hottest coach in the country, should be the highest paid coach? Was it an accident that they happened to come to a number that got him to number 1? I'm pretty sure they negotiated. And also, Kenton, I'm pretty sure, once other hot coaches out there, Ryan Day just won a national title. When it comes time for Day to renegotiate again, if he suddenly becomes the highest paid coach in college football, you don't think Kirby's agent is going to go back to Georgia and say, hey, we got to bump Smart's number up a little bit? And yet he's going to criticize other people for negotiating the best possible deal. Drives me crazy.
Let me let you in on how, and I know we got to get out of here, but I'm going to let y'all in on a little secret, a really poorly kept secret. Kirby Smart is from the Nick Saban coaching tree. Nick Saban, his last 4 or 5 years in college, was literally always the highest paid coach. Donno, how is that possible if he had already signed a contract? How was he always the highest paid coach? There was a specific writer in his contract that whenever somebody got paid above him, they had to sit their tail back down and pay him more. So you're not getting paid according to what the university values you at. You're getting paid based on what other universities value their guy at. That's your mentor. The same mentor who said, you know, I talked to Miss Terry and we realized I just need to get out of this. Everybody's asking what they can get, and that's all. What? Your agent literally said every time somebody else gets paid, you get to go ask what more you can get. And you're going to tell me, oh, these players are wrong for doing the same thing. Again, the minute that coaches start relinquishing their money and everybody goes back to GA status where you get paid in credits, where you get paid in the masters, where you get paid in doctoral credits, I will then respect what these coaches have to say about getting paid. But until then, y'all are driving all these $1 million cars. Y'all are having more houses than we can imagine. Y'all are having a mountain house, a lake house, a beach house, a this house, a that house. Your kids ain't got to work without you having to tear your Achilles, without you having to tear ACL, without a pec popping on your body. And you going to tell me, oh, well, you know, these freshmen just want so much. If somebody's willing to pay it to them, well, damn it, go get it, brother.
Well said. We'll leave it at that. He's Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack. Follow him on X at TGIF_Kenton. I'm Alex Donno from Locked On Canes. Follow me at Alex Donno, and we'll talk to you again next time on another episode of Locked On ACC. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.